Hi BookTube, Tamara here. Let's do my March wrap-up. It's even before May. Hey, doing better. Round of applause for me. Let's get down to the dollar and cents of it all. In March, I read 17 books. Out of those 17, only one was a standalone. I am really addicted to book series. I think these may actually be in the order that I read them. We'll start with Air of Fire by Sarah J. Maas, which is Third Glass Book 3. And I gave this book 5 stars. I am in love with the series. I know that there's people who found things that they didn't enjoy about it, but nope. Selena is the assassin of all assassins, and this book goes in from book 2, and she is wanting to avenge her friend's death, and that's really all I'm going to say about it. I love the world building, I love the characters. Each character has such a distinct voice. The plot is always interesting, and I never fully guess what's going to happen. There's always a surprise, always, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that as a reader and as a writer because it's hard to do. Moving along, I read We Were Liars by E. Lockhart, and I gave this one 3 stars. I actually read this for a book club, but it was February's read. I didn't get it from the library until March, so you'll have that. This book, I have found that people either really love it or dislike it, and I was in the middle. The writing style is very kind of lyric. It feels like you're kind of reading a long poem, and initially I found it off-putting, and it took me a while to get into that voice. To give it a non-spoilery summary, it's a story of 4 friends and who they call the Liars, who are at their summer retreat and what happens there. The pacing was a little slow in the beginning. It took a little bit of time for it to kind of pick up, but even with that being said, it was a quick read. I read it in a night. I think the parts that I disliked the most was that I really did not connect with any of the characters, and honestly, I didn't really care about them because of it. I would tell you names, but I can't remember them. The lead girl, I found her voice. Sometimes I felt a little sympathetic to her, and other times she really just got on my nerves. And I feel like that's how I felt about everybody. And that definitely dimmed my enjoyment of the book. Moving on, I read Ignite Me by Tahara Mafi, and that is book number 2 in the Shatter Me series. I gave this one 4 stars. Whew. So good. This book is a dystopian that's set in a future where the land has become kind of barren. The government has pretty much totalitarian control over everyone. There is a subgroup of people who have developed special abilities who are trying to change the world, basically. And the book moves well for me. I enjoyed these characters. It's action-packed. I love this series. I do. I love the series. And I also read Unravel Me, which was the 3rd book in that series and the final book, and I gave it 5 stars. That ending was satisfying. I loved everything about it. I loved it. I wish I would have buddy read that series so that I could have gushed along the way with someone, because it was that good. Clockwork Angel from the Infernal Devices series, book 1. This is from Cassandra Clare. and I gave this 4 stars. This is the first Cassandra Clare book that I've read. I know that there is another series that I can't think of its name, and if I remember I'll put it here, that is linked to this series, but I haven't read any of it. This book is set in 1878, and the lead girl, Marissa, she travels from America to England basically to find her brother. And from that, it unleashes all kinds of the crazy. It's a fiction that is very leaning into paranormal fantasy, and I really enjoy it. I want to read the next one, definitely. The next book I read were from The Secrets of the Immortal Nicholas Flammel, which is a series by Michael Scott. I think this may be a middle school series. I'm not sure. But, so I read book 2, The Magician. I gave that one 4 stars. I read book 3, The Sorceress. I gave that 4 stars. I read book 4, The Necromancer, and I gave it 3 stars. I read The Enchantress, book 6, and I gave it 4 stars. And I read The Warlock, book 5, and I gave that 4 stars as well. I would have a hard time giving you a review of each book because, one, I read them back to back to back, and my memory is just a line of timeline. Is not really a distinct go and stop, and I should have written some type of notes down about it, but I did not, and I do apologize. The Secrets of the Immortal Nicholas Flammel series is set, it's about this set of twins, and the first book, they start out where one of them is working in the coffee shop, the sister is working in the coffee shop, the brother is working in a bookstore, and somehow, and while they're at work, there comes this mysterious man who is the enemy of their employers who happen to be married, and he pretty much tries to destroy them, and he's seeking something, and the twins don't really understand what's going on. And from that scene, the books all hang from. And this series has I really enjoy series that use mythological stories and like kind of takes them and twists them a bit. I think it makes it interesting, and it gives it kind of especially when it's a fresh view on things. And that's what they did here. That's what Michael Scott did here. There's so many different creatures, mythological beasts, and historical figures. I mean, Joan of Arc is in this book. There's just so much that happens, and it all has some type of basis in history, and then this interesting course of events that he creates to lead it all through. I think that if you like things like that, then you'll definitely enjoy this one. Lighting has changed. I don't know how this is going to look for you, but I hope it looks alright. So, moving right along. And then I read the Percy Jackson series, and it was so good. A lot of you guys probably grew up reading Percy Jackson or had read it years ago, but I hadn't even heard of Percy Jackson until I started doing BookTube, and I've really read more adult fiction than any type of middle grade or anything like that, and I don't have any children or younger siblings, so there really wasn't any reason for me to learn about it, I guess. But I am so glad I did. Oh, by the way, this is Percy Jackson and the Olympians. This is by Rick Riordan. I read book 1, Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. I gave this one 3 stars. And then I read book 2, Percy Jackson, The Sea of Monsters. I gave this 3 stars. So basically, this series is about Percy Jackson, and he is this kid who's always had a weird kind of checkered past. In all of his schools, there would always be some type of crazy thing that would happen, and property would be damaged. He didn't know why. He didn't want things to happen, but they always did. And then he finds out he needs to go to the special school where the Byblos, the gods, are being educated. So again, we have an author taking Greek mythology, in this case, and turning it and making it interesting. I do like how throughout the series, Riordan kind of kept to that idea that the gods aren't always fair, and they kind of do what they want, and the people that are involved are kind of their puppets. So there, with each book, there is this big quest that one of the campers has to go on. Of course, inevitably, Percy is somehow involved in it. The beginning of the series, so those first 2 were like the beginning of the series, and I gave those the 3 stars, and I think it was because the characters were still kind of young and inexperienced, but as the series went on, I started to enjoy them more. I started connecting with the characters more, and the storylines became more interesting for me. So I read The Titan's Curse, and I gave that 4 stars. That was book 3. The Labyrinth was book number 4, and I gave that 4 stars as well. And the final book of the series, The Last of the Olympians, book number 5, and I also gave that one 4 stars as well. So if you enjoy middle grade books, if you enjoyed takes on classic themes and Greek mythology, then I think you will enjoy it. It's a romping good time. The final book that I read was from my beloved Stephanie Plum series, book number 21, Top Secret 21 by Janet Ivanovich. Unfortunately, I only gave this book 3 stars. I feel as though Ivanovich, Stephanie has been playing with this love triangle for 21 books. Golly gee, I'm really attracted to this guy Ranger, and he's all mysterious. I don't know much about him, but ooh, he's so sassy. But Morelli, I've known him for years, and his grandmother hates me. She gives me the evil eye, but he's super sexy too. But we're so scared to be in a committed relationship. Blah blah blah. At some point, she has to commit to something. Otherwise, this series is it's going to cease to be interesting. Which saddens me, because I do enjoy it. But 21 books is a long time to be drawing out a love triangle. Come on. Make a choice. Even if it's a failure, then at least a choice was made. The redeeming quality of this book was that we do learn more about Ranger and his spotty past. But a lot of the same hijinks happens. There's Lula and her craziness with her crazy clothes and hair, and her penance for wanting to shoot things. There are crimes to be solved that inevitably end up as some type of insane hijinks, which is enjoyable, don't get me wrong. But even though these are crime novels, the romance element is so much played in the story that not having some type of payoff for the romance is definitely becoming a detriment. And that, y'all, was my 17 books that I read in March. So I've been thinking about possibly, instead of doing a monthly wrap up, maybe doing a weekly or every 2-week wrap up after April, since I didn't do that this month. So what do you guys think? Do you prefer these monthly wrap ups, or would you like to see weekly or every 2 weeks? Let me know in the comments. Have you read any of these books? Would you like to? Thank you again for checking out this channel and taking this time to listen to me talk about things that I love, which are books. If you like this video, please click the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. For April, I'm putting out a video every day, but after that, it's generally 2, sometimes 3 videos per week. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.